Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing, where today we are going to be continuing to read Homer's Iliad. So, let's just get cracking. The king then asked, as yet the camp he viewed, "What chief is that with giant strength endued, whose brawny shoulders and whose swelling chest and lofty stature far exceed the rest?" "Ajax the great," the beauteous queen replied, "himself a host, the Grecian strength and pride. See bold Idomeneus' superior towers, amid yon circle of his Cretan powers. Great as a god, I saw him once before, with Menelaus on the Spartan shore. The rest I know and could in order name, all valiant chiefs and men of mighty fame. Yet two are wanting of the numerous train, whom long my eyes have sought, but sought in vain. Castor and Pollux, first in martial force, one bold on foot, and one renowned for horse. My brothers these, the same our native shore, one house contained us, as one mother bore. Perhaps the chiefs from warlike toils at ease, for distant Troy refused to sail the seas. Perhaps their swords some nobler quarrel draws, ashamed to combat in their sister's cause." So spoke the fair, nor knew her brother's doom. 118. Wrapped in the cold embraces of the tomb, adorned with honours in their native shore, silent they slept, and heard of wars no more. Meantime the heralds through the crowded town bring the rich wine and destined victims down. Idaeus' arms the golden goblets pressed, 119, who thus the venerable king addressed: "Arise, O father of the Trojan state, the nations call, thy joyful people wait, to seal the truce and end the dire debate. Paris thy son and Sparta's king advance, in measured lists to toss the weighty lance. And who his rival shall in arms subdue, his be the dame and his the treasure too. Thus with a lasting league our toils may cease, and Troy possesses her fertile fields in peace. So shall the Greeks review their native shore, much famed for generous steeds, for beauty more." With grief he heard, and bade the chiefs prepare to join his milk-white coursers to the car. He mounts the seat, Antenor at his side. The gentle steeds through Seire's gates they guide. 120. Next from the car, descending on the plain, amid the Grecian host and Trojan train, slow they proceed. The sage Ulysses then arose. Arose, and with him rose the king of men. Sorry, I did that last bit a little bit wrong. On either side a sacred herald stands. The wine they mix, and on each monarch's hands pour the full urn. Then draws the Grecian lord his cutlass sheathed beside his ponderous sword. From the signed victims crops the curling hair. 121. The heralds part it, and the princes share. Then loudly thus before the attentive bands he calls the gods, and spreads his lifted hands. "O first and greatest power, whom all obey, who high on Ida's holy mountain sway, eternal Jove, and you bright orb that roll from east to west, and view from pole to pole, thou Mother Earth, and all ye living floods, infernal furies, and Tartarian gods, who rule the dead, and horrid woes prepare for perjured kings, and all who falsely swear. Hear and be witness, if by Paris slain, great Menelaus press the fatal plain. The Daemon treasures let the Trojan keep, and Greece returning plough the watery deep. If by my brother's lance the Trojan bleed, be his wealth and beauteous dame decreed. The appointed fine let Ilion justly pay, and every age record the signal day. This if the Phrygians shall refuse to yield, arms must revenge, and Mars decide the field. With that the chief the tender victims slew, and in the dust their bleeding bodies threw. The vital spirit issued at the wound, and left the members quivering on the ground. From the same urn they drink the mingled wine, and add libations to the powers divine, while thus their prayers united mount the sky. Hear, mighty Jove, and bear ye gods on high. And may their blood, who first the league confound, shed like this wine, disdain the thirsty ground. May all their consorts serve promiscuous lust, and all their lust be scattered as the dust. Thus either host their imprecations joined, which Jove refused and mingled with the wind. The rites now finished, Reverend Priam rose, and thus expressed a heart o'ercharged with woes. Ye Greeks and Trojans, let the chiefs engage, but spare the weakness of my feeble age. In yonder walls that object let me shun, nor view the danger of so dear a son. Whose arms shall conquer, and what prince shall fall, heaven only knows, for heaven disposes all. This said, the hoary king no longer stayed, but on his car the slaughtered victims laid. Then seized the reins his gentle steeds to guide, and drove to Troy, Antenor at his side. Bold Hector and Ulysses now disposed, the lists of combat and the ground enclose. Next to decide by sacred lots prepare, who first shall launch his pointed spear in air. The people pray with elevated hands, and words like these are heard through all the bands. Immortal Jove, high heaven's superior lord, on lofty Ida's holy mount adored, whoe'er involved us in this dire debate, O give that author of the war to fate, and shades eternal let division cease, and joyful nations join in leagues of peace. With eyes averted Hector hastes to turn the lots of fight and shake the brazen urn. Then Paris, thine leaped forth by fatal chance, ordained the first to whirl the weighty lance. Both armies sat the combat to survey. Beside each chief his azure armour lay, and round the lists the generous coursers neigh. The beauteous warrior now arrays for fight, in gilded arms magnificently bright. The purple cuishes clasp his thighs round, with flowers adorned, with silver buckles bound. Lycaon's corselet with his fair body dressed, braced in and fitted to his softer breast. A radiant baldric o'er his shoulder tied, sustained the sword that glittered at his side. His youthful face a polished helm o'erspread, the waving horsehair nodded on his head. His figured shield a shining orb he takes, and in his hand a pointed javelin shakes. With equal speed and fired by equal charms, the Spartan hero sheathes his limbs in arms. Now round the lists the admiring armies stand, with javelins fixed the Greek and Trojan band. Amidst the dreadful vale the chiefs advance, all pale with rage and shake the threatening lance. The Trojan first his shining javelin threw, full on Atrides' ringing shield it flew, nor pierced the brazen orb, but with a bound 122 leapt from the buckler, blunted on the ground. Atrides then his massy lance prepares, in act to throw, but first prefers his prayers. Give me, great Jove, to punish lawless lust, and lay the Trojan gasping in the dust. Destroy the aggressor, aid my righteous cause, avenge the breach of hospitable laws. Let this example future times reclaim, and guard from wrong fair friendship's holy name. Be said and poised in air the javelin sent, through Paris' shield the forceful weapon went. His corslet pierces and his garment rends, and glancing downward near his flank descends. The wary Trojan, bending from the blow, eludes the death and disappoints his foe. But fierce Atrides waved his sword, and struck full on his casque the crested helmet shook. The brittle steel, unfaithful to his hand, broke short, the fragments glittered on the sand. The raging warrior to the spacious skies raised his upbraiding voice and angry eyes. Then is it vain in Jove himself to trust? And is it thus the gods assist the just? When crimes provoke us, heaven success denies. The dart falls harmless, and the falchion flies. Furious he said, and towards the Grecian crew, seized by the crest, the unhappy warrior drew. Struggling he followed, while the embroidered thong that tied his helmet dragged the chief along. Then had his ruin crowned Atrides' joy, but Venus trembled for the prince of Troy. Unseen she came and burst the golden band, and left an empty helmet in his hand. The casque enraged amidst the Greeks he threw, the Greeks with smiles the polished trophy view. Then as once more he lifts the deadly dart, in thirst of vengeance at his rival's heart. The queen of love her favoured champion shrouds, for gods can all things, in a veil of clouds. Raised from the field the panting youth she led, and gently laid him on the bridal bed. With pleasing sweets his fainting sense renews, and all the dome perfumes with heavenly dews. Meantime the brightest of the female kind, the matchless Helen, o'er the walls reclined. To her, beset with Trojan beauties, came, in borrowed form, the laughter-loving dame. She seemed an ancient maid, well skilled to cull the snowy fleece and wind the twisted wool. The goddess softly shook her silken vest, that shed perfumes, and whispering thus addressed. And with that, I've run slightly over the usual amount of time. I got a little bit carried away there. But never mind, that is what it is. I am going to say thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon, or night, no matter what time of day it is. I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.